Ready? Sorry. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Laconia Conservation Commission meeting for July 20th, 2022. I'm Dean Anson.
Deb Williams.
Bob Harrington.
Lisa Moran.
Ruth O'Hara.
Stacy Susie.
Planning Director Dean Trefethan.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we start off by saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll change the agenda and we'll start off with Paugus Woods. Here's Mr. Foote.
Good evening. I'm Luke Powell, soil scientist and wetland scientist, along with John Roque, the engineer for the project. And I distributed some 11 by 17s on the site walk, but I didn't know how many to make, and I didn't print enough. So if some of you could share, that would be great.
If it's
Lisa.
Thanks.
So on the first sheet, gives a project overview.
Send this over to Stacy.
You can see White Oaks Road near the top of the sheet, and down near the bottom, here's Boulevard. Okay, just to get situated. The villas at Paugus Bay, or what we usually refer to as Paugus Woods, is in that upper part in the center. Shows a road network, several of the houses in there. And for Paugus Woods to start their next phase of construction, they need to have a temporary emergency access. So what they are proposing is to go down the drive by the water pump station, which is on the left there, just above the top of the purple strip, and follow that down through the green strip, the blue strip, down to Weirs Boulevard. The next page shows the individual sections in a smaller scale. Larger scale. Sorry. And thank you, John. And I apologize for that blue block is supposed to be transparent, and it was on the CAD drawing, but when it printed out in a PDF, it disappeared, or the transparency disappeared, so I got to work on that some more. But in any case, that's showing the edge of Weirs Boulevard, and that blue section going up to the Hodge property right at the end of it there. In that blue section, it's pretty well-established gravel drive already. There's not much that would need to be done. The fire department requires an 18-foot wide travel way for this temporary emergency access. And so there's just a little bit of widening to do, raise that area up with about 6 inches of crushed gravel, and just trim some shrubs on each side, and that's about it. It's pretty ready as it is. As you get to the gate at the east side of the Hodge property, where the blue to green transition begins, that's where you start getting into a bit more site work involved. And in that section up to the Vernal Pool, it's pretty much going to be adding about 12 inches of 1.5-inch crushed gravel in there, and cutting some trees that are right on the edge of that northerly edge, and trying to get that width of 18 feet established. If you turn to the last page, that's where we can camp out a little bit and have more discussion. We have a few more things going on there. So in the last page, you have the green transitioning into the purple, And the green section would have 12 inches, as I mentioned before, of the 1.5 inch crushed gravel, and the edges, again, brushed out just to get that extra width. There are some trees on that northerly edge, or as you're looking at on the left edge, that need to come out. There are a couple of snags. There are some a red oak, white pine, little clump of hemlock that are right in where that widened edge would be, so those would need to come out. And but that's about it there. When you get to the purple section, there we're going by, and I'm sorry, right at the edge of the edge of that green, as it gets close to the purple there, you'll notice a vernal pool labeled on the right side, the southerly side, and that was created by the construction of the existing sewer and water mains, and the grade was changed just enough to cause ponding of water in that spot. You can see some dead yellow birch snags there, giving evidence of a change in water table. So that vernal pool is the issue that was really the catalyst for coming before you. There's no intention to impact the vernal pool, but the buffer on the north side would be is in the corridor where the widened gravel drive would be, and there's already a gravel drive there. We would just be making it about 6 feet wider in that section. So
Making it 6 feet wider and just improving the surface. Like it isn't used a whole lot as far as maintaining the water and sewer lines right now. So I mean, it's some of it's grassy. I mean, you can see where there's gravel, but it's kind of grassy as you go through there. And while it's being used as an emergency access, it'll just be a nice gravel surface.
right, and then the purple area is where the most widening would be. Again, 6 feet on the northerly edge. It's pretty much clear of trees there. It's just scraping some of the vegetation there and then building up the base. And there would be 12 inches of bank run gravel topped with 6 inches of 1.5 inch crushed gravel, just to get some strength in there for the temporary access. There are several sewer manholes in that corridor on the northern edge that will need to be brought up to grade. And one of the advantages of this, not only to work as the emergency access road, but it'll also give far better access to those sewer manholes in case an emergency happened where you need to get a Vector truck in to pump an overflowing structure or something like that. You can get right up to it. Right now, they cannot do that. So it's intended to be a temporary emergency access, temporary to the point in time where the Langley Cove project roads, specifically Alexandra Drive and Victoria Way, would be built. And at that time, those roads would become the emergency access.
For both projects, that throughway, or it's gated, but where the two projects connect, it's going to be the secondary access for Paugus Woods, the permanent secondary access for Paugus Woods, and also the permanent secondary access for Langley Cove. Like if Weirs Boulevard gets blocked off and they have to go the other way, then all the Langley people can go through Paugus out to White Oaks. And if anything happens out on White Oaks, they can come down through Langley to Weirs Boulevard. So the projects kind of merge and share a secondary access across each other.
So the request that we have before the planning board in the conditional use permit is to get some relief on the wetland vernal pool setback on the northerly edge. I guess I take that back. Wetland, because it's so small does not have a setback, is that correct? But the vernal pool would still need relief of that setback.
Yep. And we're not actually, like Luke said, we're not actually impacting anything. All the improvements are done on the northerly side. So anything, anywhere where the wetland or the vernal pool is, all that remains untouched.
Dean, is that true that because the vernal pool is so small?
No.
Yeah,
The,
wetland.
as you remember, we changed the wetland ordinance. For smaller wetlands, we did not apply a buffer.
Right.
Vernal pools, we still apply, regardless of
Right,
size, we
right.
still apply
Yep.
a buffer.
Yep.
There has been a change at the state concerning vernal pools that probably applies to this vernal pool in that it was created by man activity. You know, it probably wasn't naturally there. But it's been there for
yes.
twenty-something
Yeah.
years at this point in time, so.
Yep.
But our ordinance still does not make that distinction, so whether we want to catch up with that at some point in time or not, you know, but that's a discussion for another day. But currently, we don't make the distinction between man-made or natural vernal pools, so the buffer still applies.
Yeah, and the rule that we're talking about is brand new this spring, right? I mean, it just,
Yes, it's the state rule.
the state rule,
Yes,
yeah.
that's in their new rule write-up that just came out in 2021, rather.
Oh, 2020, okay.
But, okay, all right, so how long is it gonna take you to build the paved road?
I can't answer it exactly. I mean, if all our final permits come into play here soon, we're planning on starting in on it and trying to, I mean, there's phase one, which doesn't get you all the way, and then phase two is what gets you the rest of the way. But we're gonna be trying to build the phase one section, get everything in, and ideally, we punch through to Pogs Woods as soon as we can, so that everything is opened up all the way for both projects, so.
So it's not like.
I can't say that in 2023 it'll be done. I would assume in 2023, if all goes well and, you know, that there isn't a complete shutdown of everything again, by the end of 2023, it should be the paved access, and this would go away at that point. The emergency use of it would go away. The road is always gonna be there no matter what, so.
Right,
Will it still be used periodically?
It'll still be used periodically for just the same way it is right now, yes.
Just for the sewer and water maintenance.
Yep, sewer and water maintenance, it'll always be there.
but if it was just for sewer and water maintenance, nothing would have to be done to the road.
Well, I don't think so, Dean. I think it does, because the sewer manholes, as pointing out, they're off on that edge.
Right.
And they're really not accessible by a Vector truck, so it should be widened or shifted so that they could have access to those sewer manholes. If there was an overflow, they would have a hard time being able to address it.
Right.
The maintenance on that is probably I mean, it probably just hasn't been maintained as well as it should over the years at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been more of a gravel surface than what we were walking. I mean, if you look, you can see gravel on what we were walking, but it's pretty overgrown. I mean, they've been mowing it, but, just regular routine maintenance, it should have looked better than it did today, so.
So you're not gonna cut down the yellow birches that are adjacent to, or?
No,
No.
Okay,
no, nothing on that southerly side at all will be disturbed at all.
and you said you would take out the invasive species?
Oops.
Didn't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can of worms.
You're a little tricksy there, Dean.
As part of construction, it automatically is part of everything that we try to control it and try to do best management practices. But in areas where it's undisturbed and we're not going to disturb, we try to stay away from it. But yeah, once they start building the main part of the site, anything we encounter, we have to deal with.
Have to deal with
Yes.
that.
You might have to take them out to get to the manholes.
Anybody else have any other questions? Thanks, Stacy.
think I just got the answer. You had said 6 feet that you were widening right at the beginning of the green shaded. And I was wondering if that was 6 feet combined on both sides.
Nope,
But then I read it's on the north side.
only to the north, yep,
So it's 6 feet on the other, opposite the
Opposite.
vernal pool, right?
Yes.
yep.
Gotcha.
And that, the sewer manholes run down the northerly side where we need, where it needs to be shimmed the most, so everything is to the northerly side.
And I was just curious, what the entire strip on page 1, how long that was?
Oh, goodness, I did not.
It's an easy walk.
You look a little sweaty there.
Been out since 5 this morning. Make no excuse.
Yeah, it's several hundred feet, but I
Oh,
don't
okay,
have that.
so we're
Yeah.
not talking like a mile.
Oh,
No,
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 no, not at all. I mean, maybe 500, 600 at the
Oh,
most.
my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Including the blue.
like
it's
all the
about-
way down to, all the way from Weirs up to the pump station.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it isn't dramatic. I mean, it's just across the project, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman? Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, since I didn't
I
go
think
on.
I think it's only like a little over a quarter, probably a third of a mile between Weirs Boulevard and White Oaks Road.
Got
so,
you, okay.
Yeah.
Since I didn't go on the sidewalk, I apologize, and I'm just kind of looking, that upper section down to almost the, like, for the first 3/4 of it, down to where it sort of takes that bend to go up to Langley, are you comfortable we wouldn't have erosion, like, in a bad rainstorm, or do we need to have diversions, or, I don't know, I wasn't out there.
Is that on the third page, Lisa?
No, I'm just looking at the front page.
Okay,
I was just, what I was thinking of, Luke, was that, okay, this looks very straight, and then it kind of takes a bend, and I wondered,
Oh.
what happens at this bend if you get a
No,
real
the-
rain?
The water would be
everything in
sheeting
blue
off
is
to the
already
side.
constructed. That's all, that's the existing common driveways.
But if you add all this, it kind of,
It's, no, all the stuff up there is all just super elevated off to the side. It just goes
It's
straight off.
off this way.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't combine and come down the hill towards anything.
thank you. That was my question.
Yep.
Thanks.
good thought.
Anything else?
I went on the walk today, it looked reasonable to me. It's the way it has to go forward, they need it per fire department for emergency access, the road's already constructed. And it's hardly beyond, general maintenance and 20 years letting the tree grow.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make some suggestions, though.
Sure, oh, yeah.
I would suggest that we do a double silt sock by the vernal pool along with that construction fence, just to make sure that everybody knows where it is. Then when it's completed, that I feel like there should be some kind of fencing there, just so people know that it's there, and especially in the winter when they're plowing, that they're not plowing the snow in that direction.
Could we do plaques or something, like do a little
Well,
post?
talking with Dean, we're putting delineator posts in every, I spaced them out 200 feet on the plan, but that can be altered. But just for vehicles that are driving, it can see ahead to the next reflector.
I'm just thinking in that area where the vernal pool.
You're talking about around, like, you have delineators pretty, like, maybe every 5
Yeah.
feet or something,
I-
like something
Just
like.
so that it's designated, so people realize that it is a
This is where it
sensitive
is, right.
area right there.
Yeah, Deb, I'd be hesitant to put a fence there
Yeah.
just because of access by wildlife to get to it. And,
Not surrounding it, but
Yeah,
just,
but
just
even
on that
on-
roadside.
yeah, even on the roadside, it is serving a resource for wildlife, even though small.
Right.
And I'd really like to see it just kept open for access for wildlife. The southerly side is on a steeper slope. I'm just thinking of critters that would go in and use the pool. it could be a deterrent.
Maybe some signage then. Some signage and education sign, because you know people will be back there walking.
Mhm.
They'll use it to walk a
Yeah,
lot.
that would be straightforward to do. A couple of, like, extra signs around right in that area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. Any other comments?
You guys are fancy with those tablets.
Yeah, some of them, but, so I don't have an application number here, something I can see, but,
It's,
so, just so I can reference it.
Yeah.
But I guess I would,
you can do the parcel number,
right,
216, 248, 12,
216, 248,
12.
223, 524
Yeah, like a work.
Like,
Yeah, what he's trying to figure out is the work.
is on the project there.
If you have the file number.
yeah, it's on, it says parcel 216.
John, in your experience, how much would this road get used when a development does this type of thing? Do they get used a lot?
The
or-
emergency access?
Yeah.
Almost never.
Because
I mean,
it
really almost
literally
never.
is emergency, right?
Yeah, the only purpose of this is if you cannot get to White Oaks Road at all, or if you cannot, I mean, basically it's while Langley is being constructed, it's just for for the Paugus to get to Weirs Boulevard. And Paugus has been on a single access onto White Oaks Road its entire existence, and they've never been blocked in before, so.
Okay, that's what it.
So it's
okay.
never needed a secondary access yet, since 2005 or something like that. So almost 20 years it's been developed, and it's never needed a secondary access.
But when you put in the next development, that's when you need this secondary.
Yes, anything over 50 units, you need a constructed secondary access. That's part of the Laconia Fire Department rules. And they're starting in on building the last part of Paugus Woods right now, which is I think 40 more units. So there'll be like 90 altogether in Paugus once they're done with that. So this will be the secondary access, the constructed secondary access, until the Langley Cove project is ready to go.
I was actually.
But in terms of how often it'll be used, it may never get used at all.
Right, I was actually picturing construction vehicles going through this.
No,
Else-
no, not at all. No, nope, that won't happen.
So this is brought forward by the villa at Paugus Bay?
Yes, correct.
Not Langley Cove,
Yep.
yeah, even though most of that lays. on
Yep, yep.
In the packet to the planning department, there was a letter from 553 Weirs Boulevard LLC. They're the owners of the Langley Cove property, saying that they have no issues with Paugus Woods coming in on their property to do that. They're basically owned by the same people, but different
Different
names.
entities, so just to
Right.
make sure it's all clean.
Yeah.
So for this proposal brought forth for the villas at Paugus Bay on tax map 223-520-4, project address here is 16 Sarasota Lane, Laconia, New Hampshire. This proposal is to utilize a pre-existing road which already has sewer and water installed in it and has for some time. It's to upgrade it for an emergency access for Paugus Woods as they build out the rest of their project. This will impact the Vernal Pool on the south side of the road.
Yep,
Which is-
that's not technically correct.
Vernal Pool buffer.
The
Vernal Pool
the
buffer,
Vernal-
okay, thank you.
The roadway is within the vernal pool buffer, but there's no
And that's
impact to the
pre-existing.
wetland. There's no impact to the vernal pool.
Correct, okay.
Yep.
Stand corrected. And so this, I think we should support, given signage and protection for the vernal pool as they do this improvement. In the end, it's a road that's, it's going to make it easier for maintenance and access to any of the previously existing sewer structure that's been put in it. It'll impacts minimally on other people and is a part of the full build-out plan for both Paugus Woods and Langley Cove to be built. And I think we should support this, given the cautions that Teb has put forward.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any additional comments? The only comment I have is, when you cut down the trees that you described as snags, you're gonna leave them on site, is that right? You're gonna drop them down on the right, on the northern side of the road and leave them?
I don't know, I don't think we can assume that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I mean, if you can leave them, you know,
Yeah, some of the littler stuff, yes, absolutely. I mean, I think there was one that was like the oak, like an oak tree or something though.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that might get taken
It'd
for
be
firewood or something.
ridiculous to leave it there
Yeah.
just because it would impede
I mean, it's a
progress.
valuable tree. I mean,
You can
for-
deliver it to my
Yeah.
house, it's fine.
Yeah. But the snags.
Drop it off.
The snags, the dead standing trees would be valuable on the ground for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wildlife.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my
And
thought.
and that
Yeah.
would be easy to do, but
Yep.
the others, I think.
I mean,
Right, so if you
If nobody-
leave as
yeah.
much as,
keep it, yeah, well,
as
much we can.
feasible.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any additional comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for the walk
Good to
today,
see
that
you.
was
See you guys.
enlightening.
Good to see you. Okay, so. Court Street, okay, so let's do 406 Court Street.
Good evening.
Hi.
So I'm Andy Daniel, I'm the Maintenance Director at St. Francis, and this is Brenda Buttrick, the Administrator of St. Francis Rehab in Bishop Bradley Senior Living Community. So we are here tonight in regards to 3 parking spaces that were located in our front parking lot in the northwest corner of the property. You have it there, it looks like green painted lines in there right now. And we're looking to relocate those as gravel spots at the end of in the southeast corner of our building, sorry. Northeast corner and southwest corner of the building, of the property, off our existing paved parking spaces. And those do happen to encroach, about 2.5 of those are encroaching on the wetlands buffer.
Okay, and then you've constructed a gazebo, and
We
that's
had
where
a-
that's where you lost those parking places?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We were looking for a good spot on the property to place the gazebo. Due to staffing and being able to get them out, as most of you know, our property is pretty well sloped.
Lots of
Um,
slopes.
And to push them, to get them to go down slope to one of our other locations we were looking at, and then to push them back up would be a tremendous burden on staffing. The position that we have placed it is a level spot towards the front of our addition that was done 4 years ago.
How much is this impacting the wetlands?
If you look, sir, if you've got the pictures that I had put with the packet, you can see the plan drawing with the wetlands buffer, and then you can kind of gauge it.
All right,
Dean, I only have 3 copies, like physical copies of the pictures that I was able to pass around, so if anyone hasn't seen them yet, we can pass those as well.
Lisa?
They were in the packet, right?
on your point B, your
Yeah, I have.
pink outlay there is your impact.
Which photo are you looking at, sir?
I'm not looking at a photo, I'm looking at
A drawing.
a drawing.
Okay. That was a drawing that came from our as-built plans that I had. I took a picture of it so that I could have something for visual.
Right?
So the gazebo is at point A,
No?
Yes.
Yes?
and the parking is at point B.
Correct.
Okay.
I get it.
Okay.
And trying to think about how I drew that one. I actually gave away all my copies of those pictures, so.
You can look at it there.
Yes, point A is where the gazebo is, point B is the parking spaces.
Is this gazebo already here?
Yes, sir.
And so the tall grasses beyond it are where your wetlands are?
So the gazebo,
Gazebo's not near the wetlands.
No, the
It's the
gazebo
wetlands
is-
in the back.
So
Yeah, the
these
parking
grasses,
space.
though, in front of your gazebo?
correct, that is on the Court Street side
Right,
of the.
but what are these, is that
That-
just a ditch,
That is
or?
a permitted steep slope. It's an excessive slope that we don't mow.
Okay,
So what we've done at the request of planning
so it's like a
is
buffer.
to move it into the parking lot a little bit more. And I built the split rail fence along that edge, top edge, to delineate that steep slope so nobody could go over it. Which is our goal, to keep people safe.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
The location of the 3 new parking spaces, or the relocated parking spaces, is already disturbed. It's already all gravel.
Yeah.
It will remain gravel. They're not planning on paving, but that's where the 3 spots will be relocated to. There's no, they are in the buffer zone, but there's no additional impact to the buffer. The impact has already been created.
And if you happen to have driven by, yes, GMI is in the process of, tomorrow they'll be putting down a base coat. They reclaimed the parking area today, and they'll be repaving just the areas that were already paved.
At point A or point
From
B?
the area closest to point B where the parking spaces will be located, from Court Street straight up to the backside where point B is, and around the loop where our St. Francis statue is, has all been reclaimed, and that'll be repaved. The front parking area will not be disturbed at all. It's gonna be seal coated and crack sealed.
Okay, but the three new parking places,
Are in a existing gravel area,
And
and
they're-
they
aren't
will
named-
remain gravel.
okay, all right, good, okay.
Yeah, basically.
And they are downhill from this stream, is that correct?
Oh, I
They
know
are
what
uphill.
else here.
They
Oh,
are
yes,
uphill.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're delineated in green.
Just looks like the stream is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's quite a steep slope between us and going back up to the first property in Belmont that they just clear cut. And that's where the stream is.
What are they doing up there?
Okay. Stacy?
Can I just ask, is this in preparation?
Yes,
to
ma'am,
be
that was
used?
a stockpile of gravel for the curbing that had to be re-raised for the reclaim and repave portion of the project. And that has, I'm pretty sure 99% of that has been removed as of about 20 minutes ago when I was just there. They've been using it to fill in
That's
areas.
what I thought.
and-
Oh, okay, awesome.
So the area around the gazebo, I know this isn't why you're here, but since you are here, that area that's been disturbed around the gazebo,
Yes,
are you going to plant that, or are you
that
going?
is gonna be loamed, seeded, and grassed as of next Wednesday. There's going to be a 2-foot bluestone drip edge around it with perennials, a variety of perennials, and then the rest will be grass, yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be beautiful.
So we're hoping.
Is the stream right here? Can you not see it?
I can't see it, but that would be my assessment based on the way they described it.
In the picture that shows the gazebo, the area that is dirt,
Yeah,
almost all of that was pavement
yeah, all right, yeah.
previously.
So they reduced the total amount of pavement on the property.
Yes,
Right.
they have.
Okay, good.
So in this picture here,
Yes, ma'am?
am I to assume that right beyond this hedgerow is where the stream is?
That hedgerow is probably 75 feet below that. If you were to draw a plane straight out from there, drop down about 75 feet is where the stream is.
So
Okay,
it drops off pretty
The
precipitously.
stream is in a valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. And you don't plan to change any of that hedgerow,
No,
touch any of that?
no. The only thing that touches that
Fair amount
hedgerow
of
is the bear
bittersweet
that likes
there.
to come up and
There's
eat
a
the
lot
bird
of stuff.
feeders.
Yeah, the bear that eats the bird feeders, yeah, we have that.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this plan and support the new gazebo
Thank you.
and the addition of those parking spots that are already basically there anyway.
And that's for 406 Court Street, Laconia,
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
46727 tax map.
Anybody want to second the motion?
sounds like.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, any additional comments? Questions? Okay,
No.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
ladies and gentlemen.
Let's enjoy the gazebo. I'm sure your residents
Yeah,
will.
stay inside until it cools off a little bit, though. Okay, 14 Reagan Way.
Good evening. My name is Richard Loisel. I am just here representing my stepson. He's not available. And he wants to remove some trees to open up his yard. And he has an easement of some sort. I don't know how far he got into this, but he claims he's got every letter here to get this approval by whatever was necessary. So I'm just here to represent him, so I don't know what he needs to do going forth.
Okay,
I'm just gonna, I wanna just make a
Yeah.
note. I'm
Good.
pretty sure you're referring to the letter saying that he has permission to go on the property next door and cut.
Yes, yes, he's got several
Yes.
letters in here from the water department, the next door neighbor, and somebody else from the Department of Public Works. And they all have no permission or had no comment or gave him permission to remove some of those trees.
Is he removing, okay, I got a couple questions here, just because of the way it goes here. Now, ZBA, we need some sort of thing that says he's a representative of the landowner. Do we have that?
I have emails from the applicant saying he was gonna be
Okay.
present here.
Just as long as I don't have to ask about that stuff. And is your son here only looking at removing trees in this red zone?
I believe so. I haven't seen that,
you go.
that picture. Yes. Yes, that's his.
And that's all on his property? What does the green represent?
The green is the 50-foot buffer approximate from the pond
Yeah,
on the
right,
right.
yeah.
How many trees are we talking about? I know,
I'm not sure. I mean, they're not very big trees, so probably 6 or 8, I guess. I'm not, I don't know the actual
What is,
count.
there's a number with a circle in that. What is that number?
That's just the lot number.
Okay.
For the development. It just
Okay.
happens to be right there.
All right.
Now, what, okay, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
What is the purpose of going on to other people's property to, affect this tree removal?
He owns, there's a stone wall in the back of that green square, and he
Yep.
owns up to that stone wall. And he wants to open it up so he can, have some place so he can put some, like, volleyball netting and stuff like that where he won't be interfered. With trees, he doesn't have that much, he's got a sloping yard between his house and the shed. And he has a hard time setting up anything.
Is he going to remove all the rest of these trees up to that, his back property line? Is he taking all of those out?
No. He's only taken what you see in that green square. Everything from there to the front, which he also owns, is staying up.
Green square.
Red square?
It's a red square. It's a green, I think
I'm
that's.
sorry, it's a red square.
Yeah.
He's just taking what's in that red square out.
Yeah.
What you see to the left of that, I believe he's saying, he's leaving that. He was just nervous because there was an easement involved, and he has the approval from the abutter.
Can you speak more of the easement? Do I see this listed on the application?
I don't think it's an easement, it's more of the buffer goes onto his property. Some of the trees that he was considering cutting were very close to the property line, so we got permission from the neighbor that if it's right on the property line, he can cut them.
Okay, and the property lines are marked in yellow?
Yeah, those are the yellow lines.
Okay.
Did the abutter send an email?
He wrote up a letter for them, we haven't gotten it yet, but we asked them to prep that for.
Okay.
And the butter is the person that's got the pond or whatever that is, right? Yeah,
Yes, I have a letter from him as well here.
okay.
He was the former chief of police in Guilford.
How I looked.
Where is Reagan Way?
It's across from the country club.
It's right across the street from the Elm Street School.
Oh, okay.
Our understanding is that X number of years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was a nursery and farm stand type
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And the speculation is that the pond was created as an irrigation pond to service their needs. Does not appear to have an outlet, and it probably is either spring fed, and it's probably also fed by the stormwater drains of Regan Way, so.
And just another note, Stephen, the applicant, told me that they do plan to leave all the root systems in, they're just gonna grind it down to grade so that they can use the area for recreation.
So we don't have any idea how many trees we're talking about, their size of the trees, or, Anybody gone and looked at the property?
No, I have not. I can do that tomorrow and put that in my follow-up email if you like. Drive by it.
My experience on other projects, not, anyway, is that people will say, I'm just gonna take down these trees, but they don't flag them, and more trees get cut down. Is there a chance we can ask your stepson to flag the trees he's gonna
Absolutely.
remove?
Absolutely.
And so after he removes them, after he cuts them down, he's gonna remove those from his property?
He's having somebody come in to take them down and take them out.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not doing it himself. I wouldn't allow him.
You what?
I wouldn't allow him to do it himself.
You ain't my real daddy.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? I mean, so Taylor, you're gonna go and take a look at it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll just drive by and take a quick look, if you guys don't mind.
No, we can meet you there. We don't live far from there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can meet you there, and whatever time you want to set up, just let us know. I'll give you the information you need to get hold of us, and we'll be fine.
Okay. Any additional comments?
You know, on the face of it, you know, if it's within this red square, you know, seeing under 10 trees, nothing actually huge, plus a snag, which I can imagine
The bigger
someone wanna
trees,
take
it's
the leaner out.
fading towards the left of that red square, and that's up on a slope. So there was no reason to take those downs, because
Yeah.
it's a slope. But the area that he's looking at is mostly flat, and he can, you know, live with that.
Just, it would be nice to have some sort of actual number.
So the reason that you came here is because you're within the buffer of the wetland.
Yes, it was abutting that buffer
Right.
very close, and he
Right.
didn't want to be, you know, he wanted to do the right thing.
And all it's cutting is planned to be on his property.
Yes. Yes, nobody's
got
doing
permission.
anything beyond that rock, that wall, or he's not even going to the wall, I don't think. He's just opening up a flat area where he can, you know, put up volleyball net or whatever he puts together.
Gazebo. Oh, no, that's too close.
Okay, anybody have any additional questions or comments, suggestions?
I think we should just stay on this until Taylor can let us know exactly how many trees and that they're marked.
Okay.
Is there a time?
What do you suggest
Is there a
at
time
table?
issue?
Yeah.
Of course.
And typically,
Sarah.
if they're marked, there's a stump mark as well, so that you can tell once it's down that was an okay.
Would,
take, yeah.
would you be okay with me, I can email Steven and ask him, as soon as they're flagged, I can go out, take a picture, and
Yeah.
contact you
Yeah,
guys, and
yeah.
let you know how many trees it is and whatnot.
Yes,
Yeah, he'll be home this weekend.
we could vote online.
They're scheduled.
Can you?
Yeah. They're scheduled to go to planning board on August 2nd, so that's.
Oh, okay.
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 That's a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That's, okay.
It's plenty of time for me to get the right info
All
to
right.
you guys.
Okay, so I don't want to see his cuttings go into the pond.
No,
Can't do that.
And I think the issue for me is that you're in the wetland buffer. But I understand why you want to cut that. And so, you know, the less you can cut, the better. One of the things that could happen is those trees take water out of the ground and would keep the pond water level lower than them not being there. So, you know, that's It may happen, it may not happen. Trees can take, large trees can take a couple hundred gallons a day.
Sure. Yes, I understand, yeah.
So, anyway. Okay, so,
Quick question.
sure.
I'm just curious, why he picked that location
Yeah,
instead of, I was just trying to visualize what he could.
All right, to the left of that red square, it's a big slope that goes up to a rocky hill.
The
it
only
slopes
flat,
up
That's
to the
what I
back.
can't tell.
the only
Oh,
flat
okay.
place.
To the, it go, heading out to the main road. So just from where that red square starts, if you follow it to the left, you just climb up a hill and there's a big rock and then there's a main road. So he's got a step wall in the front where that raise goes up, but in the back there, it's more level.
Got you, so that red square is the only level,
Basically, yes,
oh,
yes.
okay, I was just wondering, why wouldn't he just take them all? Or just push over?
Well, I was over there with him, talking to him about it, and I told him to leave those on the slope alone, because I said it'll give you some shade, it'll give you some windbreak, and it'll give you, a
And
little
keep the
protection.
slope there too.
Yeah.
But I said in the flat spot, if you want to do something to open up, I said I would concentrate more over here. And then he was telling me about this easement, and I said, well, you just go and apply and look at this easement and see, what you have to do. And I said, you should have no problem.
But
I
in
did this
fact,
in.
but in fact, there is no easement, it's just a wetland
It's just a
setback.
wetland buffer.
Yeah, he just called it.
Nomenclature does make a difference, so.
Yes, yes, right.
Nomenclature makes a difference.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I could not
Right,
tell that
picking up.
that was a slope.
It's just, it's funny because his land is funny. If you look in the front, it's perfectly level. But as soon as you get in the back, it goes up this major hill. And then right that area where he wants to clean up is pretty level. I mean, there is some slope to it, but it's pretty level.
He's not gonna bring any fill in to make it more level.
Not that I am aware of, no.
Okay.
And he's not gonna pave the area.
Oh, no.
Just checking.
Volleyball, well, good question.
All right.
Okay, so, Taylor, you're gonna go and you're gonna, after the trees are flagged,
It'll probably be sometime next week, but
okay. So I would like to see as part of the condition that there's no fill brought in. It's not paved. Anybody have any other conditions?
Trees left near the water on the
Yeah,
right-hand side.
it's hard to tell with this picture how close it is to the edge of the pond.
he indicated to me that he wanted to leave all the trees that are directly on the border of the pond.
Perfect.
He didn't want to touch them.
Yeah, the back side of the pond is almost level. The end of it is where the beginning of the green square starts, so he's not taking anything near the pond away.
Okay. So, do we want to have any other conditions, suggestions, ideas
Well,
If there's,
before?
well, what you didn't ask was if he was planning on building any structures. You said don't pave it, but I didn't know if he
Okay.
was planning on building any structures out there.
No structures.
Okay,
He just wants an open yard.
gotcha.
Okay,
So if he's gonna mow it, is he the type that uses fertilizer or any of that?
Not if you looked at his lawn today. My lawn looks better than his, and I don't do it on mine, but I have nice farmland, so stays nice and green, but he comes over and he goes, man, mine's dead.
Score.
It's okay, it'll grow back.
That's what I told him. I said, don't waste fertilizer, and especially with the pond. I told him, don't do that with the pond with fertilizers, because he does have nesting turtles that come up on his land, and he puts
Sure.
cages over them to protect them. So he doesn't want to disturb the pond. That I can guarantee you that.
Well, but I guess if it's a concern, you should.
And the only structure he's got out there is that storage shed, which he keeps his lawn tractor and things like that in there, but that's been there when he bought the house.
okay, so,
we'll table it.
we're going to table the final discussion, or final decision until Taylor goes and sees the trees that are,
We don't really have the time frame to do that. The next planning board meeting is before the next conservation meeting.
so it's on 8/8, you said, is the next,
Planning
Second.
board's the second.
Oh, it's second.
Conservation is the third.
okay. So can we approve, based on what Taylor sees, using emails?
What I would do is, if you want to, is approve or recommend
Right.
recommend to the planning board that this is okay, and then when Taylor goes out and then sends you pictures and find out if there are some objections after that, then you could kind of like rescind approval if that's what you need to do, type thing.
So approve it contingent on
Yeah.
what Taylor
Yeah.
finds.
Yeah.
Sure, if there's nothing out of line, if it's under 10 trees here, they're hardwoods. They're not as big as the trees we saw today.
No.
By any means, you know what I mean? And I can see it cleaning up the yard and safety's sake for that, leaner there. I'm sure his neighbor will allow him to help him with that, but I'm not seeing it completely out of line.
Okay.
Be nice to know, but I could see moving it forward.
Okay, so somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the ability for Reagan Way, what is this, 14 Reagan Way?
Right.
To do tree cutting project to the rear of the lot within the 50-foot buffer zone. I wish almost I could tie the 35, the old 35s back into this. But it seems to be reasonable, contingent upon Taylor going out and giving it a view in her recommendation coming up next week.
Anybody want to make a second?
No second.
Okay. Okay, so I think that the conditions that we talked about was no fill, no structures,
Fertilizer?
no fertilizer,
No paving?
no paving.
In paving, do you also include stone or gravel?
No, I was talking about asphalt or
Would you
concrete.
take stone or gravel out there on a flat spot?
It can be impervious if it's,
Yeah, it's okay with me.
what?
Impervious? Well, I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm agreeing with you that it can almost be the same as asphalt if
Yeah.
you pack it and stuff, so.
So,
It's no impaction, no compaction of the soils.
okay, okay. All right, so what do we come up with for conditions now?
Conditions are no fill, no paving, no compaction, no fertilizer, and no structures.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Have additional comments?
No disturbing the turtles.
Okay, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to get,
Yeah, can I get you to write, email down and
Okay, so back to the agenda. We have the minutes from July 6th.
Actually,
Anybody have any comments on those?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from the July 6th meeting.
Business trip, I guess,
Yeah,
and,
that's totally fine.
okay,
I'll
that's fine.
second that.
All right, we'll warn him.
Okay, anybody have any,
Changes.
any,
Thank
You have a
you.
nice
you.
night. Stay cool.
any suggested changes to the minutes?
It was a quick meeting, remember?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So,
Who was the first and second on that? I just missed it, sorry.
I think it was Mike. Did Mike second?
Did I, or did I make the motion?
No, I made the motion.
Okay, then I seconded it.
It was that quick.
okay. Let me get back to the agenda here. Here we go. Okay, excellent. Okay, so the natural resource chapter goals. So we have goals here, and
Where are you? You're skipping.
no, I'm up at natural I'm back
Back to the top.
to the top. I'm right after, so I go to, I'm sorry.
7.
I'm sorry, you're right, I skipped. Okay, so we did the minutes. Okay, so one of the questions that has been brought up is, do we want to have a meeting first and third Wednesdays of every month, particularly in the summer? Or do we want to look at what's on the agenda, and where we don't have much on the agenda, we forego the meeting?
If it's able to move, if there's not a lot on the agenda or to be done, and it's more expedient to forego the meeting, then I would support that. If there's anything that comes through that needs to be attended to, that needs to get in front of any other boards or anything
Sure.
like that, I support taking care of business right away.
Why was this brought forward? Was it, I guess, what's the, sorry, I'm having a little hard time thinking of words
So
today.
the rationale, and I talked about this, the rationale is that everybody's really busy, and if we don't need to have a meeting because there's nothing pressing on the agenda, then we forego the meeting.
And how is that?
Particularly in the summer.
And how is that different from what we've been doing right along? I guess that's why I was just wondering why it came up as a discussion.
Because it would be the formality of saying, we're only gonna have one meeting in July and one meeting in August.
Well, unless there's something that comes up,
Right.
is what I thought. That's not, see, that's different than
So-
what, that's different.
So on that, would you prefer the first or the third as the general?
Well, I myself think it should be left as it is. And then
Okay.
we just, if there is a meeting that comes up where there isn't anything going on,
All right.
then we cancel. I would just,
I see what your default is there. That's good. I support that too. Same thing but different.
So this would be more formalizing the way that we've been doing it.
So just, we're in agreement that we'll cancel a meeting if we don't have anything, is what you're saying. We're formalizing that we're in agreement we'll cancel it if we don't have anything, which we hadn't done before. I gotcha. Okay,
We've talked about this before, but
right,
now we're talking about it again.
okay.
I just think that summer is some of the busiest time for us
Exactly.
as a council. And that, you know, I just don't want to, I just think it's a bad precedent to set, to say, oh, we're only gonna have
Just
one
summer.
meeting. Yeah.
Only having one meeting would be contingent on not having a lot on the agenda or anything pressing on the agenda. So, for instance, if the only thing that was on this agenda was doing a review of the draft minutes and talking about and
The natural resource chapter. The natural resource chapter
Well,
goals.
that's a bad example, but,
We also discovered that we can do a meeting in half an hour, so, you know, there's always that too.
okay.
When did that happen?
You missed it.
Oh, I missed it.
Our last
It was a
meeting,
flash mob meeting.
we had a loon presentation at 7 o'clock, so we were like, yeah, we gotta get this done. We were done by 6:30.
Will wonders never cease.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay, so what do we want to do about meeting frequency?
I move that we continue as we have been, in that we assess prior to, a week prior, is it a week? A week prior to a meeting date. Let me back up. I move that we maintain our 2-meeting-a-month schedule with the caveat that if we have nothing, no pressing business evident a week prior to the meeting date, that we all agree we can cancel that meeting.
A week
That's a
in
rough-
advance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yes, that's a rough way to say that, but that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Or, and I'm sorry, this should be your.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do we need to look at the different dates? Or is the first and third Wednesday work for everybody okay? Is it something we need to discuss now that we've changed a little bit on here?
Well, I think that falls into the timing of applications, though, you need that week.
Right.
Yes, I mean, I think that's why the first and third Wednesday, I mean, we could look at the day, but,
And the other thing to consider is availability of the
Yeah.
meeting room.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
you are locked in for those
Oh, yeah.
2 days in the month, and
Okay.
you try to change days, you're gonna run into other
Right.
boards and commissions.
Right. So, too bad to the new people. We're here on Wednesdays.
Okay, any additional discussion? So,
Yeah,
we have a,
yeah.
we have a.
We have a
motion and a second, okay.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? Okay, so all in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Maintain current heading and altitude.
that's it. Look both ways before you go across the street. Okay, so Opg Sampling update.
Yeah, so just a quick update, they are in the process of starting the VLAP program on OPG, I think on August 3rd or
Sure.
10th. They're gonna do a training session with, Tom, he lives on the lake, or at least has a summer place on the lake, and he wants to help out with it, so
Cool.
he's working with the OPG Preservation Group and DES, so that's all set. We might wanna talk about adding that to the funding for next year, just because for right now, OPG Group is gonna take it over for the summer so that we can get some samples done. And then tributaries, I'm gonna go out tomorrow, just confirm that we have access to all the sites, and then submit coordinates to DES, and we should be all set to start with meters, for either July or August.
Who is Tom?
Tom he's just a member of the old North Main HOA group.
Oh, okay.
He's just a citizen, he called, he wanted to help out,
Okay.
so.
And they're paying for, well, one of them is paying for the laboratory analysis for this year.
Nice.
I think we should encourage them to pay their own laboratory bills next year too.
Okay.
Because then they could put it into their, if it's an HOA, they could put it into their budget, and it's not an onerous amount, I don't think, right?
I think it's less than 200 for summer.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you. And the other thing is, DES, combination of DES and I think UNH have laboratory data from previous samplings from 2000,
Yeah, I think it's like 2002.
so,
It's not a stuff for us to look back.
Right. That's why we have a deep water sampling location, because we've sampled, they've sampled, somebody's sampled there before. Okay. Any other discussion on OPG? What about,
I'll talk about that later.
oh, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
Okay.
get to the J.
okay. So we have the master plan goals. All right, so we've seen these, and Taylor has put them into 5 categories, 5 goals with actions under each one. And I would like to see us start to actively chip away at these so that we just don't have a report that sits on a shelf and nothing comes of it. I would rather have us start doing some of these things. In particular, so the first item under goal number 1 is focus on protection that enhances and retains the quality and quantity of surface and groundwaters in Laconia. And the first item is Aquifer Protection Overlay District. And I think that what we need to do is that fits into a lot of other areas. In particular, there are some areas that are on private wells. And that would be good to know where the private wells are, so when we start looking at the Aquifer Protection District, we perhaps start with those areas.
Yeah, I'm gonna start working on the, well and septic inventory. I just need to gather the data from the state and try and put it into a database that will work for us, so that should not take too long.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
Are these goals ranked in order of importance, or does there need to be some statement made that they are not ranked in order of importance, or qualifying statement? I don't.
We ranked them.
Okay, so these are in importance. So number 1 is our number 1 important goal, and then number 2 is our second important goal?
Right.
Or are they just,
The goals, yes, the actions, no.
okay, thank you.
So I don't know if individual members here are willing to take on any of these goals or actions under specific goals. Maybe that would be the first thing we do.
I think the ones that make the most sense to get some help with from you guys would be the educational components. If you think of something that would make sense to communicate to the city and the communities, or, you know, one of the examples was Dean and I were talking today about maybe some type of flyer to people who have private septic systems near the water, asking them, or, you know, mentioning how the frequency that they should be maintained at and things like that.
So there's a lot of, well, sorry, I shouldn't say a lot. You wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel on some of this stuff. It's just borrowing other people's materials and asking
Exactly,
if
it's
you
just
could
kinda
apply your name.
Helping to compile some of those, the topics that you think are most important to communicate, things like that.
Okay.
One of the things I was thinking about doing was like a quarterly little like Concom newsletter or something, just like Laconia Links, where you could just put some of those materials together and it gets released, you know, once a season.
Could you put it in Laconia Links rather than,
Yeah, I could do that. I could just ask Nancy for a conservation page,
yeah, because I think,
periodically update it.
yeah, because to create a separate entity, then somebody has to go find
No,
it,
that makes sense, yeah.
so.
How many people here have actually gone to Laconia Links?
Oh, I get it every week. Yeah.
No, I didn't ask you if you got it. How many people read it?
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, I read it.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, put this information out.
And letters to the editor.
I would think,
Yeah, I owe you one.
Oh, boy.
and, to Taylor, I would ask, if like DPW could put a link or a PDF or something on their on their page, so utilizing the city website also to post.
Post our information as well.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, some of these goals, if they tie in with like DPW work, like
Yeah.
septic systems or whatever,
Yeah, I could ask
could,
them to
could tie in,
share them.
yeah, and,
Parks would probably be another good option for some goals to share their information on, so,
I'm sorry, who?
like Parks and Rec as well.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't mind, with the educational part of it, sending you, I won't create something for you, because I really don't think I've got the time to do it justice, but if I find PDFs or whatever, I will send them to you.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments about the goals? I think if what we could do is everybody could, before the next meeting, review this and see if there's any particular tasks, action that you want to take on, or a part of it, just so that we can chip away at this and not have it, as I said, wind up gathering dust on a shelf.
So the private well and private sewer inventory, we have that information, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's a
city
matter-
does.
It's a matter of collecting it from the state. The part of it that just makes it a little trickier is there are some private water companies in the city, so that wouldn't be encompassed in this. And then I'd like to put it into some type of mapping system so that we can keep an eye on where they are. It's great to have the address, but it would be nice to have a visual as well. So that's the part that's gonna take a little bit longer, but I can get the
There
inventory
was a
and stuff
map.
together.
I thought I saw a map one time. It showed people's wells
I
and
think
stuff.
that was when we were discussing the transmission lines and the herbicide treatments. They did have a map
Yeah.
of some wells
Right.
out there. So that's essentially what I'd want to do, but just citywide, just so we have documentation of where they are.
Goal number 5, number 4, notify contractors environmentally sensitive resource. Don't they already have to contact like the Heritage Bureau and stuff for, I'm just kind of wondering what are we?
So for that, I was thinking more along the lines of, so an applicant comes in and it's the engineering firm that's usually representing them. I would like to come up with some type of template to send to the actual contractors and subcontractor company to say, hey, you're gonna be working on 1330 Union, and we would like you to be aware that you need to be really mindful of the shoreline or a wetland on the property.
Okay, so
Just
it's
so that there's no like lost in translation between the application and the
the
board.
plan and somebody not reading the plan.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
I think, the development over on Opg, whatever that street is, Opg Street, I think that's an example to me of area where somebody should have been, the developer should have been aware of the fact that he needs to put in silt socks before he starts, not after he's, so.
And that's exactly the situation too, like that was a demo team versus his site workers and that didn't get communicated, so if I can have a draft of something to send to a demo team that says, hey, you can't take this down until the site work is, or the site team puts up erosion controls, I'm hoping that would eliminate that kind of situation again.
And I think at the old Barton's Motel, we had the same kind of thing with, I don't think there's silt socks there yet. And
There
there were
are along the backsides and the,
along the backside, but not on the front side along Union Avenue.
no, but that is all landscaped now.
Oh, I know it is. The horses out of the barn, I know. But before, when they had piles of soil. Anyway, so I think having that type of a checklist so that a developer is aware of all of the issues before he starts, so.
Goal 3, number 3, educate the community on current conservation easement lands in the city and the access allowed on them. Oh, okay. So in other words, if somebody's got an easement that for whatever reason has no public access,
Yeah.
they need to be made aware, okay.
They sell them.
Well, it is what it is.
Okay, any other comments on,
Just one quick comment on it. The public hearing for the natural resources chapter will be at the next planning board
Oh, really?
meeting. So if anyone wants to attend and speak about it, they can. The presentation at the last meeting went pretty well, so I think it was well received and understood, so.
so what's the date of the planning board meeting?
August 2nd
Oh, that's right, you already told me that.
at
Thank you.
6:30.
I have a question for Stacy. Stacy, at one point, this was several months ago, you had talked about the planning board at times wish the Conservation Commission would have, these are my words, not yours, a little bit more backbone in their recommendations and pushing things.
Those are definitely her words.
Just because I think sometimes when it got to the planning board level, you felt like maybe we didn't give you enough either information or substance for you to be able to help.
Well, here's an example. I mean, I wrote down quite a bit on Reagan Way, so you guys have come a long way in saying, we want this, we want this, we want that.
Okay.
That is more of what I was hoping to hear. So that when they ask me, what does the Conservation Commission think, I can really be adamant, every one of you agreed that they want this, 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 this.
Okay.
And they may not take everything,
Sure.
but they do have a lot of respect for you guys, and they do listen.
Thank you. So in thinking of these goals and actions, is there anything in here that you wish maybe was more substantive?
I think I was hoping that because these are difficult,
Yeah.
to just give one to a member, that's difficult.
Yeah.
I think the education and outreach even needs to be broken down into little bite-sized pieces. Like, just putting up a poster in a classroom at the elementary level, speaking to teachers about, hey, can we get just this put on the wall? So that when kids are staring off into space, they're actually looking at it. Something to do with maintaining the clarity of the lakes and how important they are. And I mean, every weekend I go and I look out at the lakes and I can barely see the water. There's so many boats now. And it's really getting concerning. And I'm like, we gotta step back and attack the children.
You know,
They're gonna,
Yes!
they're gonna grow up thinking, oh, I remember that poster. And so anything that can be drilled into them
Need to
every
send it down
single
to the
day.
Massachusetts children.
Where apparently their Conservation Commission outranks the planning board.
That's true.
I wasn't suggesting that a person picks out, develop a system of prioritizing lands for conservation acquisition. That wasn't I wasn't clear. If I can see where there's a piece of property that I think it would be beneficial to put it into a conservation easement, I see it. What I have done in the past is I have told Dean and Taylor, I saw this and what do you think we can do about it? So it's not like I'm going to go and knock on a guy's door and say, hey, but it's a piece that I can contribute. So I'm not looking to do any one of me personally do, or ask anybody else to do any one of these. But like Mike has talked in the past about a trail system in the city. So Mike knows trails in the city because he uses them. So for him to come and say, hey, I went on this trail over, and I thought it, would be interesting to have a map of trails. That's what I'm talking about.
And some of it is, we do have a set in our maps, there is a recreational trail
Right.
system, but it's always good to recognize how we could tie some others together.
Right.
Maybe that isn't recognized right there.
I think maybe one thing we can, I say we, might be able to help you with a little bit is in the networking of getting information out, sharing like Instagram, and talking to our network of partners already about reposting stuff. And so, I mean, that might be something one or two of us could help you with, because that could be time consuming too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, you guys have been in this area longer than me, so you have a better idea of the community and like the organizations that are around here that can help out, so if you think of one that, you know, we should work with them on this, or you should provide them some educational material on this topic, that's the kind of stuff that I would like a little bit of like guidance on, just, you know, who do you think we should be communicating some of these things to?
Right, and having them share, and if projects are getting done, I know you guys have some constraints about, like, you don't have your own Facebook page, you don't really have your website page, but, so, you know, I would need a little bit more to know maybe what some constraints you might have, but I think those are the kinds of things that we could easily tackle in the next month or so, is the formation of how we go about, a plan about how we go about this outreach component. I don't want to hold anybody back on any of the other stuff. I'm just thinking specifically about, you know, and I don't want to take up a lot of your time on that, but I'm thinking that's really kind of the way I think to go forward, is let everybody know that this is what we're doing. We would love you to participate. We're looking, and they may come up with some ideas that, because I'm old, I'm not thinking of.
But even if those partners have something that they're like, yeah, you should probably share this, or, you know.
Homeowners Association
Yeah, and some type of
stuff
connection
and,
to Concom, that would be great. I mean, I can put that in the links if they come up with something, I can put it on the website, under educational materials, things like that, so those would all be helpful.
yeah. So anyway, I don't want to flesh it out right now because I'm not thinking, but.
Okay. What page are we on now? We're on the back side of this?
Are we there yet?
All right.
Yes.
Yes, you are, moving right
Okay,
along.
so
We are.
we didn't have any DES applications? Other business?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. We have a lake host at Opg Ramp.
Okay.
Nice young man just moved here from Colorado and Illinois. His family is from Illinois. He was going to school in Colorado. So he will be at the ramp on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Sweet.
Thank you, Deb.
Very good.
It was just it was one of those serendipity moments, I saw a bass tournament down there. I stopped by to talk to those guys, and this family was there with their boat, and we just started talking, and
I hope he doesn't have culture shock.
None of them do.
well, he was in Denver, so yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's going to be some.
I just meant attitudes of people arriving with their boats and stuff. That's all I meant.
I
Yeah.
think he was written about on Facebook.
Yeah, I guess somebody mentioned, and what is it, Laconia Talks? Is that the
Yes.
thing?
Oh, yeah.
I got to look that up.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
There's several.
Is that a
Somebody,
Facebook?
yeah, somebody mentioned, what is that kid doing sitting by the ramp with a clipboard?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go ask him? And there's a big sign there that says Lake Host. Hello.
And so to that end, Deb is one of the lake hosts at the Water Street ramp, and it's amazing the people that know Deb, and the other lady is Barb, and they're like, "Hey, we're back again. Oh, good to see you." So
They love us.
that's
Mostly.
true.
Mostly.
It's,
Part of it.
and Deb and Barb are paid by the Winnisquam Watershed Network and
And New Hampshire Lakes.
New Hampshire Lakes. But Deb found for the third time a fourth time, who's counting, I mean, who's keeping track? Go ahead.
A water chestnut seed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come from the same
They
water
were,
body?
Nope, they were from a lake out of Massachusetts. It was on the bottom of the trailer, on the bunky part,
Nice.
sticking in there. And unfortunately, the people that brought it up had no clue, and it was very hard to communicate with them.
Language
Needless-
barrier?
I'm sorry?
Language barrier?
Yes. So needless to say, we pulled them out of line and went over their jet ski with a fine-tooth comb, along with their other, it was a huge group that came up, so.
Sure.
We are aware now, and we're aware that that specific lake down there, Quagga-Mussiggamoid, or whatever the heck it is, it's down near Worcester, does have water chestnut, so. Yeah.
And we do not have water chestnuts, so
Yeah.
it's really
Oh,
important.
good.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, in terms of goals and actions, this is an area where any one of us can go and look at, you know, talk to people about clean, drain, and dry your boat before you, and, you know, where have you been, you know, and look to see if there's any debris on their trailers or on their boats. So anyway, okay.
Did you know that you can use your phone to say you have a water chestnut in Russian or Chinese or, and it will say it right for you? That's how I communicate with my workers.
You are a water chestnut. No, that's not what
You have a water chestnut.
I do have that translate,
I just
app
use
on my
Siri.
phone too, yeah. I didn't think of that at the time, but
How do you say "you've got to be kidding" in Russian? And it says it right for
Stop
you.
it.
And they all stop and look up.
Stop talking to the box.
good
Even if
point.
they're
I will
not
remember that
Russian.
next time.
Okay, you have something.
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Foote.
do have one thing on my mind. The project that the young man did from Vermont for the pour points and
Antioch.
stuff like
Yeah,
that,
Antioch.
Antioch. And my understanding is that we're waiting on more of the program to come through to be able to utilize it on different areas that
Yeah,
weren't necessarily covered.
Yeah, he's working on finalizing that in the report. He needed some information from his advisor, and his advisor was out of the country for the last couple weeks. So I'm hoping by the end of the month I will have that and can start utilizing it.
And because I know of a couple places, one in particular that I really think it would be beneficial to observe.
Okay.
And that's what I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
Same subject. Did I hear that, on that heavy storm, we had water over top at Jewett Brook on Union Avenue?
I don't know.
There was one of the brooks. and
can't remember where I heard it.
Jewett or Durkee, but
Yeah.
um,
That would be the logical one.
yes, it would be.
From what I know. And
Yeah, I mean, I think it's subsided fairly quickly, but I.
Yeah,
you know,
I
But it
guess
was one of
didn't
them, but I'm
impede
not
traffic,
sure which
anything
one it
like
was.
that.
Flash flood.
Okay.
I have one thing to share. I heard back from UNH. We were accepted for the Taking Action for Wildlife program. So I will, email them and confirm that. And the first one, I think they start mid-September. Yes, the first one's September 15th. So we have some time, but that is all set to go. Did you want to be added to that, or?
I want to, but I'm struggling with, because daycare ends at 5.
Okay.
And I think it's on Zoom, right?
It is.
And I've toyed with the idea of trying to download at 4:30 and be.
Be on. Yeah. Well, if you decide to, just let me know. I can
Okay.
give information to it because we still have room for another person. So.
Okay, perfect.
So if, Stacy, if you don't wanna do it, then I wouldn't mind taking,
Oh,
but I don't, no, I
absolutely,
don't,
no,
I'd
take
rather
it.
have you be the first. No, I'd rather have you be the first, cause my schedule is,
You ladies work it out, okay?
I'd rather you do it.
I'm not getting in the middle of that.
I honestly have a feeling I'm not going to be able to.
All right.
So I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could take it, that would be great.
You don't have to take it if you don't want, though.
No, I mean, I was sort of interested, and I was hemming and hawing so much about it, I deliberately didn't answer, but now that the opportunity came up again, I said, okay.
We can give you all the information.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, that's exactly what I was gonna say, is that, you know, we're gonna do this, and I think it's Taylor and Ruth and Deb and Lisa and me, and I think we would be remiss not to share what we learn.
Oh, yeah, no, we can give updates on everything.
Yeah. So, good, good.
There will be a quiz.
And what happens if you don't pass?
You will.
Okay. All right, so anybody have any other business that they want to discuss? Okay. Liaisons,
Did you have your hand up, Mike?
Nope.
Oh.
you're our liaison.
There was a question on 224 Endicott Street as to why condo number 3 was not proposed with the other two. And Dean reminded me that the zoning had changed for the buffer on a smaller wetland, and the applicant knew that, and that was why you guys did not see the third condo. Am I saying this right? Okay. That was why the third condo was not put on the plans that came before conservation. It wasn't being shifty or anything, it was just, they knew the ordinance was going to change. And so why put something that was, in a few months, would not even be in the buffer?
Right.
But at the time of
Because
the
it showed.
application, if it was on there, it would have been in the buffer. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys had an answer for why.
That's manipulation.
But
That makes me angry. And it's not the first time it has happened to us. It happened over on Scenic Road, when those guys came and they wanted to build a building, and they owned all this property, and I asked them what else we don't know what we're gonna do, and they have come down piece by piece by piece.
as the ordinance changed?
No.
No.
No, they just, instead of putting out a
Full plan.
a full plan for all of the stormwater, they did it piece by piece. And so the stormwater control plan may not be as good doing it piece by piece as it could have been if they'd done the whole parcel. But this is manipulation. I think we ought to, so.
Isn't it public knowledge, though, when an ordinance is about to be changed?
that-
Only if the
so-
public's aware.
So if you come to me and you say, I'm going to propose 2, and I'm gonna come back to you later because I know I can put a third one on, but your regulation is gonna change, so I'm gonna wait, that would be being honest with me. You weren't honest. You,
But it seemed like they were honest with planning, right? Because you guys knew about it, didn't you? No. No? Oh, no, never mind.
okay, so did the planning board approve?
So I believe it got tabled because, we did table that, right? Yeah, there's some real issues with runoff and drainage.
And I would. Shut up.
Well, no, actually, I took your comments, so if you. do
Right,
have-
and then I went over there today and I looked at it again, and I just feel more strongly about it, which is
That the
why-
developer can't fix this problem, right?
Right.
Can we ask them to come back to the
It
Conservation
won't,
Commission?
it won't necessarily be,
No, wait a minute, no, wait a minute, that's a separate issue. Can we ask them to come back?
I don't think it's useful for it.
At this point in time, he's not asking for anything that requires Conservation Commission.
Okay, so the reason it upsets me is we have had applicants come in here, and we have suggested changes to their plan that would benefit them. And in particular, there was somebody who came in that had a wetland buffer, and we suggested, why don't you cut the trees down so you have a better view, so your client has a better view?
I'm not disagreeing. I just,
I understand. I'm preaching to the choir, so it's okay.
So, well, Dean, this came up with Aqua Vista, or is that what's still?
That's what I'm talking
yeah.
about.
Oh, it's the same place. I didn't know. But, I mean, we had a lengthy discussion at that time about, can we, like, regulate them to give us a build-out plan? And, I mean, I don't know if we couldn't do it, or we never got beyond the question.
I don't think we could do it.
Okay.
Because all they have to do is say, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Whether they do know or don't know is not the point.
Now, legally, could they have stated, you have 2 units here, we are asking, or we are telling you that this property can only have 2 units? Is that legal?
It actually had 12 units.
yeah.
It was
one time.
actually,
Oh, that's right, I did get approved for that, okay.
back in the day. So anything mitigates the,
I understand and appreciate the frustration, because we, from time to time, from my side of the desk, we get the same thing. But we can only regulate what we're aware of, and we can only approve or disapprove what we're aware of. And if they're not giving us the complete picture, then, I wish it were different, but case in point tonight, just to, not to throw anybody under the bus, but the temporary emergency road for Poggers Woods down through Langley Cove, great, I don't really have any objections to that. But it just leads me to believe that, or suspect that Langley Cove is much further away than what
Down the
they're
road,
telling
much
us
further down the road.
Right now.
And-
Why spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on something that you're gonna replace in 4 or 5 months? I don't.
because they're actively building out the rest of Poggers Woods.
Yes, they are.
And there's a lot of sites over there.
The reason they're giving makes, perfect sense, but
What are
what's
they
that
really
next-
up to?
What's that next thing?
And-
I, it could be that they'll start in 2 months, and it could be they won't. I don't know what to tell you.
And I was gonna play devil's advocate and say, why don't you just forego
Oh, we've had that discussion.
that road and just, and,
Yeah, just build the real one, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, yeah,
so, okay.
yeah.
All right. Sometimes you learn more by not saying anything.
There's,
Okay, any more liaison information?
I'm good, thanks. Sorry, didn't want to upset you. I mean, it got tabled, so if there is anything that you want me to convey to them, next month.
I gave you what I wanted you to convey, which is we've been manipulated.
Ah. I'll see how well that goes over. Now that-
And I don't like it. Okay. What about staff reports?
I'm all set, I said everything I needed.
Okay.
Move, we adjourn? No?
Okay, so, nothing else? Anybody want to make a motion, Lisa?
did.
Lisa did, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on adjournment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very